So what's one tool that I would recommend everyone learn? That tool is being familiar with Linux. If you're someone who has been working on Windows, I personally don't have any problem with it, but I think most of the development, most companies do use operating system based on Linux, which is Mac OS. So I think learning Linux is really important, not just for the sake of it, but because Linux is such a massive thing, and once you start using it, so I'll tell you the truth. Actually, I used to use Windows about 10 years ago, and I use Windows for everything. And then when I started to use Ubuntu, um, which is not too bad, it's very much um, it's very much different from Windows. Actually, in Windows you get a lot of functionality just off the bat, and you can do many things easily. But on Ubuntu, even though the interface is not too bad, it everything is just so much harder. Trying to get this, trying to get that. Like if you have to edit some Excel files, you would have to open that in LibreOffice, and it's not nice looking either. But it kind of benefited me along the way. It forced me to use um, to use things that Linux provided. You know, so for example, if I had to set up something to run a site on a PHP server, I had to use Apache, for example. I'd have to install Apache and then make sure it's running properly, change the root directory, set up other directives, and just make sure it's working. And then it kind of forces you to learn a lot of other things, like you're setting up a local database, and eventually you just end up doing everything yourself. You know, you do so much just through the CLI. Even if you need to query the database, sometimes you'll just SSH, you'll just connect to the SQL server, you'll run the queries there, and it forces you to do so many things. And then when you go into the cloud, instead of paying so much money for other people to manage this, for example, a lot of companies offer you SSL, and they charge you for that. You can install SSL through Certbot yourself, but you have to know how to use it, and it all starts with knowing how to use Linux. So learning Linux is really important. Okay, um, there was time when I would just use database external database server. It would cost me so much money. It was externally managed, but then I use Linux, and it makes things so much easier.